Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone.
Welcome back, folks. Today we are watching Hollywood royalty learn the hard way that fame does not make bad ideas funny. A parade of woke celebrities steps up, thinking applause protects them from jokes. Then Chris Rock does what he does best. So let's start with the Oscars stage, where Chris shows zero interest in coddling Hollywood's woke egos. He opens by pointing out the obvious, and suddenly the room laughs while realizing they are the punchline. Fake outrage hates being spotted this early. As boycott talk comes up, Rock makes it clear that most of the loudest critics are professionals at quitting, not contributing. The irony flies right over their head. When celebrity boycotts get mocked, the smiles turn nervous. Accountability is not on the guest. He pokes holes in the obsession with categories, exposing how shallow the fixes really are. Woke solutions. When the racism question comes up, Rock makes it clear this is not cartoon villain stuff. It is polite exclusion dressed as progress. Then, Bill Maher calls out an awards show crowd for refusing to even condemn a political assassination because the victim was on the wrong team.
The Emmys, would it have killed someone to get up there, since they all want to talk about their politics, would it kill somebody to get up there, not give a speech about how much they like Charlie Kirk, just to say, we had a political assassination this week, and that's wrong, and they would have been booed off the stage because he was on the wrong team. So you're not even allowed to say that. Can you imagine if a left-wing person was assassinated that week? The whole show would have been about that. Is that not true? Can't you admit that?
I think that Charlie Kirk assassination needs to be reframed as an issue of how our democracy actually functions and survives. We cannot be assassinating people who are different from us, who believe different things, full stop. Charlie Kirk's assassination is as bad for Democrats as it should be as it is for Republicans. It is not okay.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And everybody needs to get on that same page.
Here, Maher skewers the absurdity of selective outrage. A political assassination happens, but public condemnation depends entirely on the victim's politics. In other words, apparently murder is fine, so long as you cheer for the right team, and Emmy speeches are now performance art in hypocrisy. After that, Bill Maher lays out how high taxes, endless regulations, and cost of living are driving people out of blue states in massive numbers.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot of what your book is about.
Yeah.
Taxes and regulation. I certainly been screaming about it forever. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. Talking about it on television in this state. You couldn't do it. This state has almost 400,000 regulations. I just put in a new roof because the fire, I thought, let's get a roof that's not going to burn up. 2 inspections. Why are you inspecting my roof? It's my roof. If it falls on me, that's my problem. And we're taxed more than any other state. People are leaving these kind of states for places where they feel the heavy breath of government on them. It's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they seem to be incapable of doing anything about it.
So we poll this. They're leaving on cost of living. That's all part of it. They're leaving because they can't afford homes. And it's a huge, not just political problem, those numbers you just gave. After 2030, if that holds, a Democrat could win every state Kamala Harris won, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and I'm just blanking on the third blue wall state, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and win Wisconsin, and lose the presidential election, right? The blue wall would no longer be enough for them to win. And you have to take that.
You mean they could win those 3 states and still
lose the presidential? That's how bad it is, right?
Watching people leave states over taxes and regulations isn't surprising. It feels like everyday life is becoming a survival game. High costs, red tape, and endless inspections aren't just statistics. They're reasons why voters literally pack up and vote with their feet. Next, Ricky Gervais walks into a daytime talk show expecting safe laughs and polite applause.
Gervais is back with his first stand-up special in 7 years, and this time he's taken on all of humanity. Please welcome back the fabulous and quite funny Ricky Gervais. So, before we get into what the special is about, the question everybody wanted me to ask you is, are you excited about the royal wedding?
You can't even say it with a straight face. Am I excited about the royal family?
Yeah.
No.
The royal wedding.
Right away, the hosts aim for soft, harmless topics, hoping to keep things comfortable. Ricky smiles, then refuses to play along.
No, I'm not excited about it. Listen, I've got nothing against the royal family, but I don't like any of that sort of frivolous nonsense.
Right.
Gossip. They're, you know, I
Nice.
actually know William and Harry. They've come to about 2 or 3 of my gigs, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's on every paper all the time. Every my news show, it's like, oh, no, I'm not interested at all.
I wonder, you know...
Thanks for asking.
Just on the same subject, though, when I was in England trying to do stand-up there, you can't say anything about the Queen. They have a fit, and they won't laugh. Is that true when you do it?
No.
Not my
Well, it
house.
was then.
No. I mean, I think that, I think that BBC are still a bit stuffy because they get complaints and, you know, they're a sort of government body, so they fear complaints. But live, no, anything, it's just, no.
Well, when you go on the Golden Globes, a lot of time you are politically incorrect and hilarious, of course.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
So this is...
Well,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, you should polarise. You should polarise, because everyone's different, so...
When the conversation drifts toward offense and sensitivity, Ricky flips the script. He explains that being offended does not make you correct. Feelings are personal, not laws.
But this year you didn't host, and do you miss the fact that this was the Weinstein year?
Oh, I was salivating. Honestly, no, I got an adrenaline rush thinking of, you know, what I could say and whether I'd have to go to jail. And I like that opportunity because I do like that, you know, when there's a tension, when there's an elephant in the room, although he wasn't there this year. I do like that because I do like confronting that, because I think it takes the audience to a place it hasn't been before. And it can be a mutual backslapping, you know, fest, fine, but don't televise it, you know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires, and who don't
care about winning the awards.
By the end, Ricky lets silence finish the job. No apology, no retreat, just truth sitting there while the outrage crowd runs out of lines. Next, Chris Rock dials into The Breakfast Club and calmly wrecks cancel culture logic.
What are your thoughts on the cancel culture? Like, you know, if you say something wrong, people will try to cancel you immediately. You know, you even see Ellen dealing with it with her workplace. It seems like it drove her crazy, but she's like, you know what, I'm retiring.
Yeah, I know. It's weird when you're a comedian, because when you're a comedian, when the audience doesn't laugh, that we get the message.
Right.
Like, you don't really have to cancel us, because we get the message.
Right.
They're not laughing. Our feelings hurt.
Right.
When we do something and people aren't laughing, we get it. I don't understand why people feel the need to go beyond that. You know what I mean? It's honestly, to me, it's a disrespect. It's people disrespecting the audience. Like, oh, you think you know more than the audience.
He listens to the concern and immediately flips it. Comics already know when they mess up. Silence does the job without a mob involved.
The audience knows more than everybody, okay? You know, but hey, some things don't need to be said. Some people need to be looked out for. I definitely understand that. But not letting comedians work is, what happens is everybody gets safe.
Right.
And when everybody gets safe and nobody tries anything, things get boring.
Right.
So I see a lot of unfunny comedians. I see unfunny TV shows. I see unfunny award shows. I see unfunny movies. Because everybody's scared to make a move. That's not a place to be. We should have the right to fail.
Right.
Because failure is a part of art. You know what I mean? It's the ultimate cancel. You know what I mean? But but now you got a place where people are scared to talk. That's not, especially in America, you're scared to talk.
He explains how fear turns comedy, movies, and award shows into bland group projects. When failure gets treated like a crime, creativity dies. That is the real damage.
That's what people want. Got to make adjustments.
Right.
And, let's do it.
I've heard a few different comedians talk about one of the most important advice that you ever gave them, which is that you should be nervous still, always, before you get on that stage. Because once you lose that, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and the nerve isn't like, I'm scared I'm going to be canceled. The nerve is like, I'm scared they're not going to laugh. That is like a fear of mine. Everything I do, I'm like, okay, I gotta bring it. I gotta bring it. I'm on the Breakfast Club. What am I gonna say?
Right.
It's like COVID. Oh my God. Did I skip the line?
Later on, Bill Maher compares being labeled fascist to having ugly political roots, reminding everyone that what matters is where a party stands today.
She is the Prime Minister of Italy. Liberal media does call her a fascist every time they can. Her party has roots in fascism, I always say, and the Democratic Party has roots in slavery and Jim Crow. And not that long ago, Robert Byrd was the Senate Majority Leader in my lifetime, and he was in the Klan. So it's not a matter where your roots are, it's where you are now.
Blaming someone for their party's past is like getting mad at a kid for their grandparents' fashion choices. If we're serious about politics, we should focus on what people are actually doing today, not whether their ancestors belong to an unsavory club. At the same time, Bill Maher admits liberals have become more snobbish and intolerant than conservatives when it comes to living around people who disagree with them.
One of the things we have to correct in America is people should not have to feel bad about living in any part of the country where their politics isn't the majority. And that works both ways.
I agree.
Like, you didn't feel comfortable there, and that's wrong. And look, I never stop ragging on liberals and woke people, not liberals. I'm a liberal. These people are different. For just being snobs. This is the I won't eat with you at Thanksgiving people. This is the no contact thing. But, lots of liberals wouldn't be comfortable at a NASCAR rally either. I mean, there are places where but I will say, and this is something I'm going to say Friday night, the liberals are worse about this. I will admit it, and we have to look in the mirror on that one. We are just worse at the snobby thing, I don't know any conservatives who don't at least talk.
Right.
Now, maybe that's because you won. Maybe that's because it's easy.
There was a time where we didn't.
And you still came. It's true.
Yes, there was a time we didn't.
They're happy warriors. I remember that term when I was a kid. Like, that was somebody who was like, and that's what Republicans usually are. They're happy warriors. They come there. And you see, I don't pull my punches. They take their shots like a man.
Apparently, living somewhere with different politics is now a full-blown identity crisis. Some people treat Thanksgiving like a hostage negotiation, refusing to sit with anyone who disagrees. Maybe the real problem isn't political difference. It's that Americans have turned snobbery into a competitive sport. From there, Bill Maher draws a sharp line between liberalism and woke ideology, arguing that modern wokeness actually dismantles classic liberal values.
Liberal is a different animal than woke. You can be woke with all the nonsense that now implies, but don't say that somehow it's an extension of liberalism.
Right.
Because it's most often actually an undoing of liberalism. So you can have your points of view and your positions on these things, but don't try to piggyback on what I've always believed. I have always believed, as liberals do, for example, in a colorblind society, that the goal is to not see race at all anywhere for any reason.
Yes.
That's what liberals always believed all the way through Obama, going back, Kennedy, everybody, Martin Luther King. That's not what the woke believe. They believe race is first and foremost the thing you should always see everywhere. Again, you can have that position, but don't say that's a liberal position. You're doing something very different.
It's a funny world where liberalism is about erasing arbitrary divisions, yet modern wokeness insists on highlighting them at every turn. If you actually believe in classic liberal values, equality, colorblindness, freedom, you can't also be woke. He shifts to opportunity, not outrage, and suddenly the room listens instead of protesting. By the end, Rock reminds them that not everything is racism or woke culture thrives on overreaction, and he shuts it down with timing and clarity. In this next clip, we've got Ricky Gervais pretending to be the perfect woke hero.
I'm woke now, and I can prove it. Here you go. I love illegal immigrants. Yeah, sue me now. Sometimes I go down to Dover for the day, right? And I look out, right? I look for a boat, and I see a dinghy with about 60 of them, and I go over here, like, right? And I pull them into shore, and I go, women and children first. They go, there are no women and children. Just you lads, is it? Just come on, lads. Come on, lads. If I go down there one day and there's no boat, I am absolutely gutted. I just sort of wander into town, and I stand by the traffic lights, and I wait for a big lorry to pull up, right? And I look underneath, and there's a lad sort of clutching like that. And I go, where you headed? And he goes, Gary Lineker's house. I go, it's just down there.
He proudly announces his love for illegal immigrants, then acts it out in the most absurd way possible. By taking woke virtue signaling to its logical extreme, he exposes how fake and performative it really is. When ideology turns into theater, comedy barely has to try. Here comes another one. Ricky Gervais opens the Golden Globes, acting polite for about 2 seconds.
I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner, obviously. Now Caitlyn Jenner, of course. What a year she's had. She became a role model for trans people everywhere, showing great bravery in breaking down barriers and destroying stereotypes. She didn't do a lot for women drivers, but you can't have everything, can you? Not at the same time.
He praises bravery, waits for the applause, then drops the joke everyone was told not to laugh at. The room gasps, then laughs anyway. Woke rules say comedy needs permission. Ricky reminds them it never did. Now for this one, Ricky Gervais steps on stage and calmly repeats the rules woke culture insists are untouchable.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and they're as good as... They're as good as gold. I love them. Oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his her you bigot.
He walks through the word games, the labels, and the forced logic, then stops and says the quiet part out loud. The joke lands because the contradiction is obvious. Woke arguments rely on fear. Comedy relies on clarity.
Okay, please welcome back Ricky Gervais.
There's a new type of comedy at the moment called woke comedy, right? No, it's very...
Are you a germaphobe? Are you not a hugger? No hugging, no touching, you're germaphobe?
No, they said keep it quick, just go and sit down.
Oh, okay, so we can touch you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You were huggy. Because you gave hugs the last time you were here.
I feel like a strippogram.
Who's got $1?
We haven't seen you really around since the Golden Globes, where
They
you
keep
were
it low profile.
Yeah, well, they attacked you, but they said that you were mean and rude, and you were surprised at that. You were surprised. Let me just read one of the things they thought was...
I am mean and rude. I'm surprised they attacked me for it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me read one thing they thought was mean, and we'll decide whether it was mean or not, okay? Referring to... In the city, too, I said I was sure the Golden Globe would go to the team that airbrushed that poster.
Yeah.
A little sexist.
No, it's not. Why is it sexist?
Well, because you're saying that the girls are older and they need to be airbrushed.
No, I think they look great at their age.
Oh.
Why hide it?
Oh.
I don't think that you lose your sensuality or your beauty because you hit 53. I'm saying, why are they hiding it?
Oh, I see. That's not what people got.
Do you think that the joke, when you have to explain the joke, that maybe it wasn't told, that because people didn't get it, or you think that most people got it?
I'm defending my motives, not the joke. I stand by the joke.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything to apologise for, but that's not the joke. I think if you're going to criticise, you've got to understand the joke before you can.
Once the Golden Globes come up, the tone shifts. Suddenly jokes need apologies and comedy needs permission. When they suggest a joke failed because people did not get it, Ricky flips it back on them. Maybe understand the joke before demanding remorse.
Hey, so I want to ask you about the HBO special, Talking Funny. We just saw a clip from it, right? So we got Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Louis C.K. No women comedians on that panel?
Who would you replace?
I don't know.
Replace or add?
No, because it was 4 people.
It's just 4 people.
Yeah, so who would you take off?
I wouldn't. I would just add.
These are his favorites. He has the right.
I think that you're right. We don't have a male on our panel, so we're kind of guilty.
Like that, I will do it with women.
No, exactly. They're my friends, and I chose my favorite. Oh, and also, men are intimidated by funny women, so we didn't want them in the room.
Is that right?
That's a joke.
And comes the diversity checklist question. Ricky answers with logic and humor, and the outrage machine stalls. Woke culture hates when common sense shows up uninvited. Coming up, Chris Rock cutting through woke theater with one sentence.
Social justice. I'm all for marginalized people getting their rights. The thing I have a problem with is the selective outrage. That's right. Selective.
He starts with the approved talking points, then pulls the rug out from selective outrage. The crowd erupts because everyone knows exactly what he means. Woke culture loves pretending consistency is optional, and Chris reminds them that hypocrisy is still obvious, even when dressed up as compassion. Now, Chris Rock flips the victim script and the room instantly gets uncomfortable.
When did white men become victims? White men actually think they losing the country. To who? It ain't us. When's the last time you got on a black cruise ship? Or flew on a black airline? Get the out of here. We don't got no money. We got some vodkas and a couple of record companies. White men actually think they losing the country. Did you see the Capitol riots? White men trying to overthrow the government that they run.
He asks a simple question and suddenly the outrage math stops working. Woke culture loves claiming oppression while running the whole system. Chris points out the contradiction, the laughter explodes, and the narrative collapses on contact with basic logic. Here's a good one as Chris Rock fires off a joke and the woke approval checklist goes straight in the trash.
If you black and you want to be accepted by your white in-laws, then you need to marry a Kardashian. Because they accept everybody. That's right, Kris Jenner is like the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tithes, your poor, your hollowed masses. Kris Jenner lets everybody in. That's right, she like a black grandma. Just want to fix you up a plate, that Kris Jenner. She don't give a f***. She let everybody in. She's like, bipolar rapper, bring your here. Come in here, you genius bipolar mother. Crackhead basketball player, bring your ass here.
He skewers celebrity morality with one comparison and lets the audience finish the math. No speeches, no tiptoeing. Woke culture hates jokes that expose double standards, especially when laughter proves everyone already knows the truth. And finally, Chris Rock calls out corporate wokeness pretending to be a personality.
Everybody you do business, they don't even tell you about the product no more. They just tell you how much charity they do. Lululemon, I walk by, and in the window of every Lululemon, there's a sign that says, we don't support racism, sexism, discrimination, or hate. And I'm like, who gives a f***? You're just selling yoga pants. Tell me how you work on ball sweat. They sell $100 yoga pants. They hate somebody. They hate the poor.
Points out how brands sell morals instead of products, and the joke lands because everyone has seen it. Woke culture loves slogans and hashtags, but Chris reminds them that customers came for yoga pants, not a lecture. Following that, Bill Maher blasts anyone who mocked or justified a political shooting and says the real divide isn't left versus right, it's pro-violence versus anti-violence.
This guy was shot, and he's been on our show, been on my podcast. I talk to him. I like everybody. I talk to everybody. I think I'm glad I took that approach. But he was shot under a banner that said, "Prove me wrong," because he was a debater. And too many people think the way to do that, to prove you wrong, is to just eliminate you from talking altogether. So the people who mocked his death or justified it, I think you're gross, I have no use for you. The people who are saying now we're at war, I have no use for you. So my first question, true or false? I think the real war is not between left or right, it's for the people it's between the people on both sides who want a war and the people who don't.
Maher frames the ultimate true-false quiz. The war isn't left versus right. It's humans who escalate everything into battle versus humans who, choose not to. And if you're cheering for violence, congratulations, you failed the civility test. Meanwhile, Bill Maher fires back at being called racist by pointing out that ignoring gender apartheid in the Middle East while screaming social justice is pure hypocrisy.
Last week, sitting here was Anna Kasparian.
That got around. So tomorrow, Anna, you got to go live in the Middle East. Where would you live? And
Well,
where do you think you'd
sure-
be comfortable in that dress?
I'm sure it would not be comfortable in this dress in any of the various Middle Eastern countries that have been destabilized by
You're not
United States.
You're not really blaming it on Whitey.
Her co-host, Cenk, tweeted, "I think Bill Maher is the biggest racist in American media."
Anybody who thinks they're a social justice activist, which these people do, and your number one issue isn't gender apartheid in the Muslim world, you're a joke. You're a joke. It's so obvious where the biggest amount of oppression is. You people who hate oppression so much. If you're okay with keeping women in beekeeper suits, including in 100-degree weather, and this is just something that just, okay, well, whatever. And I'm the racist. First of all, Islam is not a race. It's an idea, it's an ideology. People of all races follow it. It's just more fundamentalist than other religions in this century. That would not have been the case in the 14th century. But we don't live then, we live now. The fact that this isn't your biggest issue as people who hate oppression, you're a joke.
Pointing out that screaming about oppression loses credibility if you ignore the obvious and extreme examples happening elsewhere. According to him, being anti-oppression isn't a bumper sticker. It's about paying attention to the actual horrors, not just the performative ones. Moving on, Bill Maher calls out liberals for defending equality and freedom, except when confronting societies where those rights are restricted.
Liberals need to stand up for liberal principles. This is what I said on last week's show. Obviously, I got a lot of hate for it, but all I'm saying is that liberal principles like freedom of speech, freedom to practice any religion you want without fear of violence, freedom to leave a religion, equality for women, equality for minorities, including homosexuals. These are liberal principles that liberals applaud for, but then when you say in the Muslim world this is what's lacking, then they get upset.
Yeah. It's curious how defending liberty can trigger backlash. Want women and minorities to have basic rights globally. Suddenly, you're the problem. Maybe liberalism works best when it's consistent, not just a moral high five for causes close to home. And finally, Bill Maher slams the idea that cutting off family members over politics is mental health, saying real healing requires uncomfortable conversations, not isolation.
The chief psychiatric resident at Yale University, Amanda Calhoun, recently told Joy Reid it's okay to cut off family members if they voted for Trump and tell them, I'm not going to be around you this holiday. Oh, how pure. It's like not letting certain people sit with you on the bus. She also said that it shouldn't be automatic that family members think they're entitled to your time. She said that's just a societal norm. Family. Who do they think they are? Family? I mean, think about that. A mental health professional advising people to isolate during the holidays. And don't forget to drink too much and put on weight. And this Thanksgiving, before the big meal, remember to take turns saying what you're hateful about. You know who I really wouldn't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with? This overly educated, i.e. extremely stupid, ivory tower academic. But I would, because if we ever want this nation to heal, this is what we have to do. Force ourselves to reach out and find out why someone feels the way they do and make the choices they make without prejudging them a monster.
According to some experts, family gatherings now require hazard pay if someone voted differently. Maher's take: isolation isn't therapy, it's cowardice. Real reconciliation is uncomfortable, messy, and yes, probably involves arguing over cranberry sauce without declaring a political victory. Rock makes it clear he fears bombing, not cancellation. Woke culture loses its power right there. Now, Chris Rock points out how selective outrage works when playlists get involved.
Kind of people that play Michael Jackson songs, but won't play R. Kelly. Same crime. One of them just got better songs.
He lines up the logic, lets it sit, then knocks it over with one sentence. The crowd laughs because consistency suddenly matters again. Woke culture loves moral shortcuts, and Chris reminds them that rules do not change just because the beat is better. This time, Chris Rock drops a joke and suddenly woke rules about what you can say go missing.
Beyonce is so fine that if she worked at Burger King, she could still marry Jay-Z. That's how fine she is. Now, if Jay-Z worked at Burger King,
he lets honesty do the work while the audience connects the dots on its own. No outrage lecture, no disclaimers. Woke culture hates moments like this because laughter proves people still trust common sense more than approved opinions. Next up, Chris Rock stands center stage and the woke crowd instantly feels exposed.
everybody's full of typing out woke-ass tweets on a phone made by child slaves. Need to cut it out, man.
One line in, and the moral grandstanding starts cracking. Tweets, outrage, and virtue signals all come from shiny phones nobody wants to explain. Chris does not lecture or soften it. He just says the quiet part out loud. Woke culture hates that because honesty ruins the performance. Here we have Chris Rock saying the quiet part out loud while woke outrage scrambles for cover.
Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle? Just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light-skin lottery? Acting all dumb like no nothing. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. They're the original racists. Some of that shit she went through was not racism. They wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be. We check behind them ears. That's a scientific test. Black girl trying to be accepted by her white in-laws, it's so hard. It's very hard. But it ain't as hard as a white girl trying to be accepted by her black in-laws. Shit, you bring a white girl home for Thanksgiving, your mama gonna say something. Your mama's like, why is there a social worker at the table? Like, mama, that's Jackie. We've been married 9 years.
He cuts through the victim narrative with common sense, and the room loses it because everyone recognizes real life in the joke. Woke culture hates this kind of honesty, especially when the audience agrees before Twitter can object. Next up, Ricky Gervais sits across from a late-night host who wants comedy framed as a polite philosophy lecture.
If it's an honest human experience that you're describing or exploring with your jokes, the audience recognizes it.
Exactly.
You know, it's like what Seneca said, I'm a human being, nothing human is foreign to me.
Yes.
And so it's not so daring as it's unique.
think I celebrate all the best and worst things in humanity. I say we're all idiots, so it's okay. And I think that's fine.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Going back to your, like, you know, I don't mean what I'm saying, but that's not the point, you know, or you said something like that.
They talk about honesty and humanity, hoping it sounds safe enough. Ricky cuts through it by admitting we are all idiots. Woke comedy needs moral permission. Real comedy just tells the truth and lets people laugh. Here, Ricky Gervais stands on stage and calmly explains what woke used to mean.
Another theme of the show has been words change and I'm woke, haha. But here's the irony. I think I am woke, but I think that word has changed. I think if woke still means what it used to mean, that you're aware of your own privilege, you try and maximise equality, minimise oppression, be anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic, yes, I'm definitely woke. If woke now means being a puritanical, authoritarian bully who gets people fired for an honest opinion or even a then no, I'm not woke. That. But here's the deal. To each their own, laugh at whatever you find funny. All laughter's good and you're amazing. Good night.
Then he draws the line. If woke now means punishing people for facts and honest opinions, he wants no part of it. The crowd roars because clarity beats censorship every time. Up next is the moment Hollywood still pretends did not happen.
So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and okay? So, it's already 3 hours long.
He calls out fake morality, corporate sermons, and celebrity lectures in one breath. The faces freeze. Woke culture hates mirrors, and Ricky holds one up without blinking. Take a look at this one. Ricky Gervais breaks down the logic behind voting against gay marriage and makes it sound as ridiculous as it is.
The gay age of consent, same as heterosexual, 16, and even gay marriage. Although, ironically, the one place that was really ahead of the game fell behind a little at the last election, California. They had a referendum, they put it to the vote, and they voted no to gay marriage. I mean, in California, there's people going, that's why we moved here. I mean, it's a strange sort of bigotry that you can affect someone else's lifestyle that doesn't affect you back. It's not like they asked a bloke once, said, sorry, do you mind if these two men get married? He went, no, fine, okay, jack them off then. What? I didn't know that was going to... That doesn't happen, does it? That doesn't happen. It's also a strange sort of bigotry because these people that object to that were presumably the same people that said, you know, gay people were immoral and promiscuous, but now they don't want to be monogamous and respectful in the eyes of God.
He points out how people want control over lives that do not affect them at all. The contradiction becomes obvious. Woke moral panic melts fast when basic reasoning walks on stage. Then Bill Maher uses North Korea, Poland, and Venezuela to deliver a brutal reality check on socialism versus capitalism.
Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's Socialism for the 21st Century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar.
Looking at the numbers, Poland's economy has surged ahead with steady growth and strong job markets, while Venezuela has become infamous for runaway prices, shrinking incomes, and basic shortages. You can debate ideology all day, but the lived experience of people on the ground tells a pretty stark story. Afterwards, Bill Maher and his guests talk about how today's Democrats have become colder, harsher, and far less tolerant than the party they grew up with.
Republicans have been very kind to me. From the beginning, when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree. It's sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right, yeah.
That's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Very mean.
It's funny how parties evolve. You can still vote for the same candidate, but now the Democrats you grew up with are like a meaner, sharper-edged sequel. Their attitude has changed, and some people notice. This time, Ricky Gervais stands on stage and calmly repeats the rules woke culture wrote for itself.
I know white people are the worst. I know that. That's why no one likes a white middle-aged man anymore until we need a boiler fixing. That is, get the bald bloke round now. Critical race theory, have you heard of that? Being taught in schools now, particularly in trendy areas like LA, right? Just like 5-year-old kids and 6-year-old kids. If you haven't heard it, in a nutshell, critical race theory says that all white people are racist. It says that we're born racist and we continue to be racist because we're affording the privilege of a racist society set up by our forefathers, okay? So basically, all white people are racist and there's nothing we can do about it, which is a relief.
He walks through the logic of critical race theory, nice and slow so nobody gets lost. According to the script, guilt is permanent and escape is impossible. Then he lands the punchline. If everyone is already guilty, effort is pointless. Woke ideology accidentally argues itself into a corner, and the crowd gets it instantly. Now Ricky Gervais sits in an interview setting and lays out a simple rule most people forgot.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive.
Yeah.
I want them to start saying I found it offensive, because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing intrinsically offensive about this joke. It's trying to make I'm offended sound important.
Yeah.
It's no different to saying I've got a pain in my leg.
Yeah.
Right, I believe you.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to do with me. Yeah, but you shouldn't hurt people's feelings. Well, you can if their feelings are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
If you don't like the facts, don't change the facts, change the feelings.
Yeah.
You don't have to pave the jungle.
Yeah.
You can just grow a pair and have a laugh about it.
He explains, slowly and clearly, that offense is a feeling, not a command. According to woke rules, hurt feelings outrank reality. Then he flips it, change the feelings, not the facts. The outrage logic collapses, and common sense does the talking. Next up, we've got Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes reminding Hollywood what real problems look like.
Jennifer Lawrence made the news when she demanded equal pay for women in Hollywood, and she received, overwhelming support from people everywhere. There were marches on the street with nurses and factory workers saying, how the hell can a 25-year-old live on 52 million? There were plumbers around the world going, poor girl in town, what's fucking hell?
Equal pay, waits for the applause, then flips it on its head. When millionaires pretend they are victims, the joke writes itself. Woke outrage loves performative sympathy, and Ricky exposes it in one clean punchline.
Like, I see so many people are upset about him building a ballroom. I could give a I don't give a about his
paying for it, whether you voted for him or not.
No, we're not paying for it. It's private. First of all, even if we did,
it's already bulldozed, so anytime you spend burning up about it, it's already happened. You have to decide what are you going to do in response to it.
And it's like not the thing I want to concentrate on. There are so
that's
many
the point.
bigger things that are consequential that I don't like him doing. And they tried to gin everybody up about, well, they're knocking down the White House. They've changed the White House before. And the White House does actually need a ballroom. You know, we're a big country. We were having state dinners and people were like under a tent. I've had better parties than that. So I'm not, but I still do think you have to choose your battles. You have to pick what you get upset.
Yes, so
Bill Maher basically tells outrage culture to take a number and sit down. A ballroom renovation, that's the hill you're dying on? He argues that while people are busy screaming about bulldozers and ballrooms, the real, truly important stuff slides by unnoticed because panic is easier than priorities. Next, Bill Maher explains why loving America and refusing to trash it non-stop is exactly why the woke left can't stand him.
One thing we totally agree on is, I love America.
Amen.
That's my team.
That's my team too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't give any quarter to the leftists who just constantly downgrade America. It's another reason why they hate me. I mean, this is what I said to him your father-in-law in the text. It's like, you know, if I'm so captured by the lunatic left, why did they hate me too?
God, does everyone hate you, Bill?
Everyone is not fair. Yes, exactly.
You're all right.
That's how you know you're doing the right thing.
Maybe that's true. Maybe
when
that's true.
they both have an issue with you.
Yeah.
That's also why the people who like me a lot.
Yeah.
From both sides. And the people in the middle who just have had enough of people in their bubbles.
Bill Maher declares his loyalty to a radical concept in modern politics, liking America. Apparently that alone is enough to get you hated by the left, but applauded by everyone who just wants the yelling to stop. Finally, Ricky Gervais explains what woke comedy has become, and it sounds less like humor and more like a permission slip.
There's a new type of comedy at the moment called woke comedy, right? No, it's very progressive, you know. There are some clubs now where the comedian has to sign a thing saying he won't say anything contentious or he won't say anything that could offend anyone. It's a safe space for the audience. Woke comedy. And I tried to watch a bit of it, and I decided I'd rather watch Louis C.K. masturbate.
He lists the rules, the safe spaces, and the fear of offense. Then he delivers one brutal comparison. The crowd laughs because comedy without risk is not comedy at all. And that is how it always ends. When woke interviewers lean on feelings, scripts, and moral posturing, Ricky Gervais leans back and lets common sense do the damage. No apologies, no walkbacks, just quiet confidence and punchlines that expose how thin the outrage logic really is. Like, share, and subscribe. We will see you next time.